There has to be some common sense.
Yes, sir. They have the car stopped at 10th and Ranch Microbizer.
We still don't know who pulled the trigger.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Police Off the Cuff, Real Crime Stories. I'm your host, retired NYPD Detective Sergeant Bill Cannon, 27-year veteran out of Manhattan North Homicide Squad. And with me today is retired NYPD Detective and straight out of Brooklyn, Phil Grimaldi. How you doing today, Phil?
I'm doing pretty good, Billy. How you doing?
You know, I'm doing well. This story came out of Memphis, Tennessee. It's a rather disturbing story about an abduction off the street of a young mother. I'm going to give us some of the facts of the case, and then we'll talk about it a little more. But it's whenever anyone forces someone into a car, that is pretty damn disturbing. And it's obviously nothing good can come out of something like that, and it just is. It's a bad situation. A Tennessee teacher has been abducted when she was on an early morning jog. Eliza Fletcher, she was 34 years old, was jogging near the University of Memphis around 4:30 a.m. when a dark SUV abducted her. The police have retrieved her belongings, including a smashed cell phone and her water bottle. Fletcher was reported missing around 7 a.m. and the university alerted students of the kidnapping. She was reported missing by the university, who saw the incident on camera, on video camera, whether it was a doorbell camera or what, but they're the ones that called it in. Police have reported she was last seen wearing a pink jogging top and purple-blue running shorts. The Tennessee Bureau of Investigation has been called to assist the police department and urges residents to call 911 if they have any information. The mom of two is a billionaire heiress to her family's hardware business, Orgel Incorporated. Her family, this is what she was wearing. Her family is offering a $50,000 reward for information on her whereabouts. A commercial appeal report observed police searching the Old Forest section of Overton Park in Midtown Memphis. Police did not comment on the search. Multiple items have been removed from Liza's home by police. Police tweeted Saturday that investigators are continuing the search and following all leads. No arrests have been made relative to this case. Again, they have a Crime Stoppers telephone number. Eliza Fletcher's high school posted to their Facebook messages of love as the police continue to search for her. They posted a photo for an urgent call to prayer and stated Fletcher was a beloved alumna. We pray for her safety and for her family. Her husband also called 911, however, not till 7:45 a.m. So there were two calls to 911. He was alarmed when she didn't return home. This is pretty damn distressing, Phil. What do you think?
Very distressing, Billy. It's not sounding too good at this point when someone is forced into a vehicle and they're not heard from for many hours. Apparently, there may have been some type of a struggle that they spotted on camera. Cell phone is damaged or smashed or whatever it is, maybe during the struggle. It fell to the ground or it was possibly intentionally smashed. However, those two pieces of evidence, and I call it evidence because that's going to be very key. There could be possible DNA evidence on that cell phone or that water bottle of the abductor or abductors. She appears to be a person that's in good shape. She's an avid runner. I'm hoping that she put up some type of a struggle or a fight. It appears that may be the case. This is a very disturbing case, obviously, Billy. She has two small children. She's out for a jog. It's basically on the campus of University of Memphis. I have three daughters in college at the moment, and it's just very, very upsetting, very disturbing. And I'm just hoping and praying for the safe return of this young lady.
Let's talk about the investigation.
Absolutely.
First of all, one of the first things you're going to do, and the police did do this, was they went to her home and they interviewed the husband. They took her laptop out of the house. They also, I believe, invoiced a vehicle that was at the house. I don't know why specifically they took that. They also took some shears, some cutting shears, like you would cut a bush with. I don't know why they took that. So obviously, this may upset some people, but why are they looking toward the husband?
Well, Billy, you're painting a picture of investigators showing up at the house to do interviews on a missing person case. Now we know that the call came from the university earlier, so now they have a little bit of a heads up that they know that she was forced into that vehicle. Did they see some things that appeared to possibly be suspicious? Now, Bill, before you and I went on the air, we talked about the immediate things that we would do. We said we'd be talking about who would want to bring harm to this girl. That would be the first question that I would ask the family. Is there a possibility she was involved in some type of a dispute? Who would want to harm her? Secondly, you have a very wealthy family. Could it be that there's going to be a ransom? Was this a kidnapping? So those are the things that we were looking at. And obviously the reporter, the husband, we want to find out about him. And then the victimology. Who is she? What is she about? What is her social media history? Is she in a happy marriage? Is everything hunky-dory in her marriage? Is there issues? Is there family issues? Those are all the questions that we would be putting to the reporter. You see the picture there. She's a mother of two small children. And those are the things that would jump out at me immediately. So again, we do have, it sounds like they've invoiced, like you said, they invoiced some shears, they invoiced the vehicle, they took the laptop. So we have some things that they're going in a direction. It seems like these might be evidentiary. They may just be trying to find out from the laptop information about the victimology. So it sounds like the wheels of this investigation are spinning pretty quickly.
One of the things I want to say is that in this instance, to me, and a really just instant gut reaction is that this was not a random abduction. First of all, she's known to jog that same route every single day at that same time. So to me, this seems like, a planned abduction. And like one of the things is that the University of Memphis, of course, wants to get it out there because, of course, their students now are terrified. Is there a maniac out there abducting women? And there was actually a report I read on one of the news channels news stations that there was a black SUV in the area harassing women on the cross country team. But I think that this instance, and there was also recently another kidnapping a couple of days ago, but the two people kidnapped were released after they withdrew $800 from their ATM. So to me, this seems like a very specifically targeted person. One of the things was the vehicle that they've identified. It's a GMC Terrain, dark color. The video is not good enough at this point to identify the vehicle. As far as I'll put the video up on the screen. You can see you can hardly make it out, but it appears to be a dark colored vehicle. They were able to identify it because, first of all, what you got to realize is as this vehicle continues on its trek through the neighborhood, there is more video they're going to collect. Maybe better video, maybe video that, I've never seen actually video identify a license plate. The only video that can identify a license plate is one of those damn red light cameras that are designed to do just that, right? They never miss.
They have the flash, they have the strobe, and most people don't realize within the license plates there's reflective material. So when that flash goes off, the plate lights up like a Christmas tree. So that's how they do it with those traffic cameras. But there are, I mean, in an instant where a vehicle is standing still, on my own home security cameras, I could get the plate off of a vehicle in my driveway while it's standing still. Moving's a little bit more difficult. But Bill, you made a point that we talked about earlier on before we went on the air. Is this going to be a random abduction, or is it going to be targeted? Our instincts, and you and I both agreed, we feel like it could be, although we don't know, we don't have access to the case folder, we don't know the inside details. We feel it might be a targeted because of all the other things that we're talking about. Is it possible it's random? They talk about this other black vehicle that was maybe harassing people on that campus. Absolutely possible. I think as the investigation rolls on, we're going to get a better idea. They're probably going to want to make some type of a press conference or a statement to say when they figure out if it's targeted or if it's random. If it's random, they're going to probably caution everyone in the area, especially on the campus, to be on the lookout, a bolo, so to speak. So I think we might get that later today. My instincts, I just got the feel, not going on anything specific, that it's targeted. You too, Bill? You feel the same way?
Yeah, 100%. The other thing is that I looked for this and I couldn't find it in the news, but it's the second time I've seen this in the chat. People are saying that the husband lawyered up, which would indicate to me he
Red
has
flag.
he has some type of involvement in this. I didn't want to put it out there because I couldn't verify it, but whoever posted that in the chat, could you let me know what your reference was into that?
Yes.
And I'll put it out there as potentially he lawyered up. I know that the husband has had some problems in the past. He said had some mental illness. There's been some rocky roads in their marriage. He's had an arrest for DUI, public intoxication. So there has been some problems in their marriage. The other thing is, like we mentioned, she's an heiress to the Orgill hardware store fortune, billionaires. The family already put up a $50,000 reward for the safe return of their daughter, their relative, their cousin.
That's a smart move. That's a very smart move. Money happens to open a lot of doors, so I think that's a very smart move. Bill, on the thumbnail that you put up for this episode, you had a picture of a black terrain. Could you possibly put up that, not that, on the thumbnail, the advertisement for the show, unless Josh did it? There was a picture of a black GMC terrain.
Yeah, I'm not able to. I don't think I'm
Okay.
able to pull it up right
All right.
now.
Well, whoever goes on to our show to watch it or rewatch it, you'll see a picture of that vehicle. There it is, right there, Billy. That's
There we
it.
go.
That is a GMC terrain that we're talking about. It's not a very large SUV. It's not small. It's kind of a mid-size SUV. From what the news reports are from the campus police, that she was forced into that vehicle. She was. They didn't say. Believe they said dragged into the vehicle or pulled into the vehicle. So apparently, it sounds like someone drove up and pulled her into the vehicle. Could be two people. I mean, you can't drive a vehicle and pull someone into the vehicle at the same time unless the person knows the subject that they're trying to pull into the vehicle, maybe stop them, engage them in conversation, and then pull them in. So we don't know the exact scenario of how the actual abduction went down, but that is the vehicle that everyone should be on the lookout for. Maybe they're going to be coming forward with a license plate sometime soon. That would be great, but that's the vehicle in question.
Folks, the other thing I mentioned is that they could continue the video canvas going in the direction and actually see where the vehicle went. The other thing is if they have license plate readers, which many places have, and I would expect near a university campus, they very well may have license plate readers, and that could positively identify the vehicle. The other thing is what's called a lawman search. They could search for all of the GMC terrains registered in that vicinity. And then it's just the process of elimination.
They'll be able to narrow down a year too, Billy, from looking at that video. So that's part of the lawman search. They could first start to search any GMC terrains that are registered in the state. And then to narrow it down, they might put a 4 or 5 year window of year based on what they say. And again, Billy, you're very, very right on target with to talk about the video cameras on the campus. There's going to be cameras every couple of yards, couple of 100 yards, whatever it is. So they're going to know what direction that vehicle went in. And then from there could be Ring doorbell cameras, other surveillance cameras, whether it be on commercial locations or residences. That's going to be the legwork that those detectives and the FBI is going to be doing right now, I'm sure.
Folks, just to reiterate, this occurred yesterday morning at 04:30. That's 4:30 a.m. in the morning. She was running her usual route. She runs every morning at that hour along the same route. So could someone have planned this abduction? Absolutely. To update it, the husband apparently, and I don't have confirmation of this, but the husband apparently has lawyered up, which, if your wife was kidnapped or abducted and you had nothing at all to do with it, why would you request counsel? That, to me and to Phil, of course, is a red flag. And again, we've
100%.
also understand that they've had marital problems and that the husband's he's had some issues. Let's put it that way.
Listen, Bill, I walked through the door. I started interviewing the husband, and I'm going to be very frank with him up front. He could be frantic and all of that, and I'm going to explain. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to ask you questions, and some of them might be tough questions. However, we would like to eliminate you as possibly being involved, because that's always the first thing when you have a missing, abducted wife in a situation like this. You're going to look at the husband, and the hard questions are going to be, what is your relationship like? Do you have any marital issues? Are you seeking counseling? Is there any previous domestic violence issues in the home? Now, once he gives you the statement and you get a real good hard statement from him, now you can ask relatives, you can ask friends, you can check databases to see, had the police been to the house for domestic violence calls, noise complaints, anything of that nature. So that's going to be the hard part of the initial interview and interrogation and investigation with regard to the reporter, which is the husband. And if he has a substantial amount of alibi or people that talk in his favor and there's no record of it, then possibly you would move on to other areas. You'd probably be doing the other things at the same time. Anyhow, FBI is involved in this case, Tennessee Bureau of Investigation, the local Memphis Police, as well as the campus police from the Memphis University. So again, you have a lot of law enforcement involved in this case. These are the things that Bill and I would be doing, and we'd be right on top of it had we been the investigators assigned to the case.
This is what News Nation had to say about this today. Let's play a little of this.
Urgent missing case. The search for a mother in Tennessee tonight, police say, was abducted during her early morning run in Memphis. Eliza Fletcher, she goes by Liza, is 5'6", 136 pounds. She is an avid runner, and she was last seen around 4:30 this morning wearing purple shorts and a pink top near the University of Memphis campus. Investigators want the public to see this photo tonight of the SUV. They believe Liza was forced inside. The search for Liza has gained more and more urgency by the minute. The Tennessee Bureau of Investigations and now the FBI, along with the ATF, are on the scene tonight trying to piece together exactly what happened.
We want to find her. We don't know. We don't know what's going on.
A Memphis neighborhood taken over by a police command center. Dogs, helicopters, and now the FBI, all racing to find Eliza Fletcher, a missing teacher, runner, and mother of two who they believe was abducted while out on her morning run. Later reported missing when she didn't return home.
It's very important that if anybody knows the whereabouts of Miss Fletcher, to contact the police immediately.
Eliza was captured in this surveillance image wearing a pink tank top and purple shorts before authorities say she was forced into this dark-colored SUV that drove off. Her water bottle and phone found nearby.
Everybody's desperately looking for her, and the police are here on it, and you can see there's a lot of activity.
Activity that includes searching Fletcher's typical running route, which is near the University of Memphis campus. Her abduction triggering a campus-wide safety alert that now stretches across the city. Tonight, a massive police presence also outside Fletcher's home as her loved ones, school, and church pray for her safe return.
Our concern is to locate Miss Fletcher, so if anybody knows where she's at, call the police immediately.
And it is an urgent search tonight. I want to welcome in Lucas Fenton. He's a breaking news reporter at the Commercial Appeal, a Memphis newspaper, and he's been on the case and was just at the scene where investigators are searching tonight. Lucas, thank you. Where are police focusing the search right now, and what's the latest you're hearing?
Well, that's the thing. I mean, right now there's not a lot we do know. Basically, there are two main points where police are gathered. They're gathered at the scene where the water bottle and cell phone was found. At the University of Memphis campus. They've got a mobile command center set up there. But outside of that, really, there's not much to go on, and not much that anyone's hearing.
Tell us more, Lucas, about the description of this car. It's kind of a grainy photo on surveillance. Is that the only image that you know police have?
So there are a couple of images. The one that you have, I believe, was what has been identified as one of the better images. And, that's what's making this such a difficult investigation, I think. There's very hard and not very great camera footage. And that's a big problem for media as well, trying to figure out what this make and model is.
Talk to us about where this happened, where she was taken and put into this SUV near the university campus. Talk about the area. What else is around there?
Yeah, the university campus is kind of wedged between Midtown and what's called East Memphis. So you really have two different kind of districts. You have kind of a residential district on one side and a more commercialized district on the other. Central Avenue kind of, per its name, cuts right through the middle of the main campus. And that is right over there. The picture you're showing now is actually the Earthquake Research Center, which is part of the campus and where they have set up most of the police presence.
There was an alert, Lucas, that went out not only to students, but now it sounds like it is citywide. Tell us about how this is impacting the community, folks on alert and on guard.
For the most part, I have been focused on the crime scenes themselves. I haven't spoken with many community members personally. And so that's kind of where I'm at and focused on is just the case itself.
How big is the police presence? We mentioned the FBI, the ATF, Tennessee top investigators.
Yeah, there are plenty of law enforcement officials both at campus and on out in front of the home. ATF actually has agents embedded with MPD and they work together quite often. So they're pretty much on scene right as MPD is when they were called in at about 7:45 this morning.
I know you and your colleagues have been doing some reporting on who Eliza Fletcher is, her background, her family. What more can you share with us tonight about this young mother?
Well, she was beloved from all accounts, working in the school and along with her grandfather's philanthropy, very much well-known and well-loved within the circles around her.
She was also a teacher, as I understand.
Yes, she worked over at St. Mary's Episcopal School, and they have issued a statement as well, praying for her safe return.
And part of a well-known family. You mentioned her grandfather. What more have you learned about her family and background?
In terms of the immediate family, not much. They were married in 2014 and had a very, very beautiful wedding over at the Dixon, which is an art museum that was here. Has had a lot of money come in from her grandfather, who worked as he has a hardware company. He passed away, but he worked very, very well with the community, and he very much subsidized a lot of public buildings.
Have you all, Lucas, been able to piece together if this was a regular route for Liza? She was an avid runner. I know that she had run some marathons before. She was out really early this morning. Is this a place that she had run often?
So from what we've been able to gather, campus police who have been on scene, when they issued their broadcast, their safety alert, they said that this was a regular route for her. We haven't heard much on that since. But that was as far as we've heard from police as to whether or not this is a regular route for her.
And you mentioned this earlier, and it's been reported her cell phone and also her water bottle were found. Any other evidence or items left behind?
I do not know about anything else. The cell phone and the water bottle were there, but that's about all we know as far as evidence at the scene.
Being in the community, Lucas, I know law enforcement are focused on finding her, piecing together the details. How forthcoming are they with media in the area as they try to get the message out? One, the alert and urgency in finding her, but letting the public know what's going on in the status of their investigation and leads.
Well, I think that MPD is really working to get as much information that can help locate her as possible. They're very much looking to enlist the public in noticing things and being a little bit more observant as to their surroundings, noticing cars and similarities. But at this point, there's not much definitive evidence out there to go off of.
Yeah, the priority tonight is who that SUV belongs to and trying to identify that and find Liza as quickly as possible. Lucas Fenton, we appreciate your time tonight. Thank you. We'll be touching back with you soon for any updates. And for you at home, here is another picture of Eliza Fletcher, a young mother of two from Memphis, Tennessee. She disappeared this morning around 4:30 on her early morning run. She was last seen being pulled into this black SUV that was captured on local surveillance. That is all police have to go on at this point. Her cell phone and her water bottle were left behind. Going through her Instagram account, she has two young boys. She is a married mother. She is a teacher, and she is beloved and very active in her local school and also her church. And she is desperately wanted back home safely. Thank you for watching. Go to.
So, folks, you could see this is a real serious case. Whenever anyone is forced into a vehicle, it's all bad. It's all bad. Unless the person can somehow escape from there, it's just a horrible situation. We've worked cases this very year that we've covered that just when you hear that someone was forced into a vehicle, you rarely hear good things come out of that.
Yeah.
One of the things that the police did remove, what we mentioned it earlier, was garden shears, a laptop, and they towed away a cream-colored Jeep Wagoneer, according to WMC TV. So the laptop, if there is any involvement in family or husband or anything like that, there should be some information on the laptop, communications, emails, things like that. Same thing with her cell phone. The cell phone apparently was smashed. I don't know if that was in the struggle with the abductor, but it was left on the scene with a water bottle, which was her water bottle. A lot of runners carry water bottles with them so that they can take a drink when they're running. That was recovered on the scene. The video that you're seeing, a lot of you guys comment in the chat how horrible it is. Those are from doorbell cameras. So it's video from a homeowner. So, you know, how good or how bad the video is and how much money they're willing to spend for security on their own home. And that's what that video is from.
Billy, if I was back at the squad with you, let's say, and some other detectives, and I call it spitballing, some of the questions I'd be asking based on the information that we know that's been put forward, what would be a motive? I think they might be looking for a motive in that laptop. Was there some kind of negotiation going on with a marital situation or a business deal? Was there somebody that would have the crosshairs on Eliza? So that's one of the things. When I first talked about this case with my own wife, she was like shaking her head. Why would someone go out jogging at 4:30 in the morning? That's another question I'd be asking. Why so early in the morning? It's dark out. Is there a reason?
Phil, I'll tell you why. Because she had to go to work. She probably had to be at work.
Yeah.
At like 6:30, 7 o'clock. She gets her run in, goes home, makes breakfast for the kids,
right,
and goes to work.
Okay, listen, that very well could be, but that would be a question I'd want answered. And then I saw a few people in the chat when we referenced that the husband possibly, it's being reported somewhere, we don't have it confirmed, that he lawyered up in there saying, oh, always have a lawyer, always have a lawyer. Listen, if it were me, and I highly recommend if someone has a knock on the door from the police that, you know, you should, have a lawyer present when you speak to the police. However, in this situation, if it were me, God forbid, and my wife was missing and I had nothing to do with it, I would fully cooperate 100% because I wouldn't want the police to waste time looking at me when they could be looking at the possible or the real person that abducted a family member or a loved one. So again, yes, a lawyer is a good thing to enlist if you have a legal issue, 100%. We read Joe Maury's commercial just about every time we do this show. He's a great attorney. However, in a situation like this where time is of the essence, obviously she's been missing for a little over a day now. And, you know, the longer that goes on, the less likelihood that she's going to be found safe and sound. So I would 100% cooperate right from the start if I had nothing to do with it, just so I can have satisfied law enforcement that I'm not involved in it. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. And if you're not involved in it, whether or not you have a lawyer is not going to put you in the trick bag for any problem if you're not involved in it.
You know, one of the things I see motive-wise and not knowing anything of the picture. But as soon as you see that she's an heiress and the grandfather is a billionaire, right away you think money and kidnapping and ransom.
Absolutely.
Now, I don't know if they've been contacted by anyone. If they were, I don't think they would put that out there. It's so early in this investigation. But right away, you look at the potential money part of it and the fact that the family immediately put out a $50,000 reward. That was really quick, you know.
And
And I'm
smart.
sorry, we probably had the time incorrect. This happened at 04:30 yesterday, right?
Right.
So it's much more than 12 hours since then. But it's still early in this investigation. And there's so many things that the police have to do. And a lot of Phil and I mentioned how they do have the technology to pull up all the cell phones that are in use at a specific location at a specific time. I would be doing that. And I think maybe the FBI is.
Can I speak on that, Bill? Because
Sure.
if at 4:30 in the morning, there's probably not a lot of cell phone activity. However, if the person in that vehicle, that abductor, person or persons, has a cell phone with them, it would be pinging to a cell tower as long as it was on. So that would be one of the things. Now, if they dump a cell tower, you're going to wind up with 1,000, not 8,000, thousands of numbers. But at 4:30 in the morning, it might be less because it's only going to encompass a certain area. I mean, everybody that has a cell phone within that campus would probably be pinging to that cell tower. But it's a long, needle in a haystack. But it might be the solving of the whole case. And again, like you said, FBI is involved in that. It's quite expensive to do a cell tower dump, but I'm sure that they're on top of it, and they will probably. If it hasn't been requested, I'm sure it will be.
Folks, I see you in the chat. The reason that they know that this is in fact an abduction is because it's on video.
Yes.
And someone's seen getting out of the car, a male, that's all they'll say is a male, struggling with her and somehow forcing her into the vehicle. So that's kidnapping and abduction. And the fact that her cell phone was destroyed and left on the scene. That was no accident. I'm sure whoever did this didn't want her to have her cell phone with her, of course, because that's a walking, talking, tracking, GPS tracking device. So they left it outside the car. The fact that this is on the University of Memphis campus makes this urgency so much, kicks it up so much higher, because obviously everyone that goes to this school, everyone that works at this school is now extremely upset and worried that, is there a madman out there abducting women?
Absolutely, Billy. And, to overcome a person like her, obviously, if she didn't know who it was, she probably would have started screaming. Perhaps they used some type of an instrument like a taser or something to that effect. And again, you made the mention of the cell phone and the water bottle being found. Obviously, if you're going to kidnap somebody, you don't want that tracking device within the vehicle that you're kidnapping them in. So you're going to either toss it. Perhaps it was just thrown to the ground in the struggle. We don't know exactly, but again, that's two very important pieces of information and evidence in this case. I'm curious, and it's really raising me up a little bit about the laptop and the vehicle being vouchered, being inventoried. Where are they going with that? I mean, it's not the black terrain. It's a beige colored or a cream colored Wagoneer. Perhaps there is indication that it could be involved in it. I'd really like to know. Maybe it was her vehicle. Even if it was her vehicle, be a little bit odd for them to be inventorying and taking the vehicle.
What if it was the husband's vehicle and it had that Honda we had, a black box that could tell them where he was driving in the last few days? That may, if he was implicated, and I'm not saying he's going to be implicated or he is implicated, but if he was going to be, that would be a solid piece of evidence for them to track where that vehicle has been in the last few days. So that's potentially a reason. As far as the garden shears, I have really no idea, unless there's allegedly domestic violence going on between the two of them. And as I said earlier, there is evidence that he's had an alcohol problem. He's been arrested for DUI. I don't know if it was once or twice. He's been arrested for public drunkenness, and he's had some mental health issues. Apparently, he works at a boatyard as either in boat sales or boat repairs. I couldn't nail that down. He's a college graduate, and he was a 4-year veteran of the Coast Guard. So that's his background. He married into a very wealthy family. I don't know, what the deal is. Does she get money? Is she going to inherit money? She's working as a school teacher, which is, of course, as we all know, a very middle-class job. And that doesn't say you're not going to get money or you didn't get money, but that's a middle-class job. And, people already rumor, oh, her grandfather's a billionaire. Why was she running? Why was she running at 4:30? What does that have to do with it? Why is she working as a school teacher? Because, well, maybe she didn't get money from
It could be a calling, Billy. I mean, like you and I had a calling to work in a police force. Maybe she had a calling to be a teacher. She wanted to give back to her community. I don't see, I don't see that as such an odd thing for a person that comes from a wealthy background. And what are you going to do? Sit around and count money all day? You want to have a purpose in life. So I don't think that that's that odd. And again, if this was a random abduction, now the law enforcement is taking objects from the home of the reporter, the husband, so to speak. So that's a little bit suspicious to me. The vehicle, the shares, yeah, definitely. And again, perhaps they want to eliminate him as being involved. And, if he doesn't cooperate and lawyers up, that's definitely a red flag.
Just folks, so you know that she teaches at a Presbyterian school. I had the name of it here. St. Mary's Episcopal School. That's where she teaches. Mm-hmm. So it's probably, I believe she's a kindergarten teacher.
That's what I heard.
So they also attend the Second Presbyterian Church. Apparently they're a religious couple, or she's religious. So, just to dispel all these rumors I'm seeing all kinds of craziness in the chat. And I don't know where a lot of you guys got your information, and I'm not going to repeat it. So far, I cannot verify that he lawyered up. I know 2 people have said it so far. I searched the internet. I searched Facebook. I searched Google, and I couldn't verify that he lawyered up. I want to play this from Good Morning America. This is...
An urgent search is underway for a woman from a prominent Memphis family kidnapped while jogging early Friday morning near the city's college campus. Police are appealing to the public for information. ABC's Butha Bube has more.
This morning, an urgent search underway right now in Memphis. A mother of 2 apparently kidnapped during her morning run. Her family now offering a $50,000 reward as the manhunt gears up.
Possible abduction earlier today for Miss Liz Fletcher.
34-year-old kindergarten teacher Eliza Fletcher, seen in the surveillance photo on a jog Friday around 4:30 a.m. near the University of Memphis. Police say this dark SUV, a GMC Terrain, approached her and forced her inside.
The real key to this case right now, based on what we know, would be the vehicle. If there's something unique about the vehicle, a scratch, a dent, an odd paint color, anything that you can tell the public that would potentially bring somebody forward.
Her family reporting her missing just hours later when she didn't return home. Police saying they found her cell phone and a water bottle in front of a home nearby.
Want to find her. We don't know. We don't know what's going on, but everybody's desperately looking for her.
ABC News affiliate WATN confirming the woman is the niece of the city's chief legal officer and the granddaughter of a prominent businessman and philanthropist. Police at the woman's home seen collecting a laptop and garden shears. An officer photographing a white Wagoneer outside, which was later towed away.
It's quiet, peaceful. We're right here by the university, and this is very rare.
And Trevor, her family issued a statement saying, in part, we look forward to Eliza's safe return and hope that this award will help police capture those who committed this crime. Trevor.
This is a really frightening story. Faith, thank you so much.
Well, hey.
People are asking in the chat, why won't the police release the video of her struggling with the mail? That's a good question. Maybe it's not good enough at this point. Maybe they're trying to enhance it to make it so that you can maybe identify somebody.
If the video is not that clear on the suspect, they probably don't want to release something like that for sensitivity to the family. I mean, that's really, imagine your wife or your sister or your mom or your daughter is missing, and then you see the actual abduction. I mean, unless it showed a clear view of the person, then I would say, might make sense to release it. One quick thing about the shears, Billy. The officer that was carrying the shears, it looked like he was carrying a bag of some type of evidence. Maybe the shears were used to cut out some type of evidence. I don't know that the shears were actually inventoried yet. I mean, it looks that way. He's carrying them. Did they come from inside the house, or were they brought in to cut something? So we really don't know at this point. Perhaps they could have been in the house and they needed to cut something for evidence purpose, and they used the shears to cut it. I don't know. But the vehicle, that's the one that really, and the laptop, those two things really stick out.
Folks, a lot of the information that police get in these missing person abduction cases, very serious. In the NYPD, we would have a unit from the major case unit who specialized in kidnapping, and they would do something called set up a nest. But there's been no one's admitting that this is a kidnapping. There's been no calls for ransom. We just, in fact, know that it was an abduction and kidnapping because it was caught on video. And the fact that there's evidence, there's video evidence of it. So what do we go from here as investigators? Of course, her cell phone, the laptop, the video of the vehicle. Where did the vehicle go after she was abducted? There's got to be video. They know at some point. Did they lose it at some point? Potentially, but they will know where did they lose it? They didn't lose it at the abduction point. They can keep banging on doors and collecting video. And I know that sounds crazy, but that's how detective work is done. Family, they got to do an in-depth, what we call all the time as a victimology, a study of the background of the victim. They got to talk to all family members. Is anything unusual? Did she tell you anything? Were her and her husband having any problems? Was she having any problems with anything else? Was there any cheating going on by either one of them? All of these things are important parts to this investigation, and will hopefully lead us to what happened here.
Of course, Billy, you're going to look for all motives. You mentioned whether or not the marriage was secure. Was there any cheating going on, infidelity, alcohol, drug use? Those things are going to be looked at. The thing that really is very, very my point of interest is that vehicle, because that's a very late model vehicle. And I think that vehicle, not the terrain that was used in the abduction. I'm talking about the vehicle that was taken from the home. That vehicle is probably going to have an onboard computer that's going to tell distances that were traveled, times, speeds, different things like that. And those late model vehicles, you can access a lot of the components of the vehicle through your cell phone. So if that vehicle has that type of navigation stuff, they may be able to tell when was the last time that vehicle was used, where it traveled to, how long was the route, what were the speeds, different things like that. And that might narrow down where that vehicle was, if perhaps that vehicle is involved in this abduction case. So those are all the things that I'm sure that they're taking apart at this point. You got to have a motive for why she was abducted, and that's what they're going to be looking for at this point. And I think that we've laid out a lot of different areas that could be motive.
This picture, the vehicle on the upper right, I believe that is the cream-colored Jeep Wagoneer that was invoiced and taken into custody by the police. Yes. The GMC Terrain, that's it in the middle of the slide. I don't know whether I've ever seen those vehicles. I don't know how popular they are, but we discussed it early on in the broadcast. They'll do something called a lawman search all of the GMC Terrains that are registered in that vicinity there. Maybe there's 500 of them. Maybe there's 1,000 of them. That's detective work, process of elimination. And then sometimes they can go to a toll booth that has a camera and see what GMC Terrains came through the toll booth at a certain time that would put it in that area. All of these things are exhaustive investigative tools and steps that you may take or should take. And that's how cases are solved.
Absolutely, Billy. Now, 4:30 in the morning is probably not a lot of vehicles on the road. If there are any traffic cameras in the area, it would be easy to query them, and you'd probably have a small window of time. Maybe you'd go 10 or 15 minutes before the abductions, 10 or 15 minutes after. That's a close proximity to the location of where this abduction takes place. And you'd look at those cameras. You're not going to be looking at many vehicles because it's 4:30 in the morning. I mean, unless you have a major thoroughfare there, you're not going to be looking at that many vehicles. And how many of those vehicles are going to be black? It might be easy to zero in on the location of the vehicle, where it came from, where it went through those means. So there's a lot of different investigative steps that are probably being taken. We're not geniuses that we came up with this on our own in this minute. These are things that go on every day in law enforcement. And I think that they're going to figure this out. It's not going to be a long drawn out case as I see it. There's too much happening. And again, with those items that were taken from the home, from the victim's home, relative to maybe the husband or some other family member, that's where it seems like this is going. That's the direction it looks like to me.
Phil, go to the quick commercial here.
Sure. Joe Murray, attorney at law. Have you found yourself in a jam? Are you in need of legal counsel in the New York area? Do you need a victim's advocate? Well, Joe Murray is your man. He's not only an experienced trial attorney, he's also a retired 15-year member of the NYPD. He literally knows both sides of the fence. His website is jmurray-law.com. His telephone number is 646-838-1702. Or you could email Joe at joe@jmurray-law.com. And if you would like to advertise on Police Off the Cuff real crime stories, just drop us an email at policeoffthecuff, the number 1 at gmail.com. That's policeoffthecuff, number 1 at gmail.com. Our rates are very reasonable, and we have a national as well as an international audience. Just might be the right thing for your business.
On 9/10/2022, first responders unite for Fight Night, Tunnel to Towers charity. That's the charity for the World Trade Center. New York City Cops and Kids, NYPD Boxing, FDNY Boxing, National Grid, Department of Sanitation, Department of Corrections, Customs, United States Marine Corps Boxing. They're going to all be having a fight this night at SIUH Community Park, Staten Island, University Hospital, 75 Richmond Terrace, Staten Island. This is for a great, worthy cause. So if you guys can make it, it's at 75 Richmond Terrace, Staten Island, New York. A great night of boxing.
Yeah, that's a wealthy, that's a very worthwhile charity to be involved in. And Pat Russo, that's organizing that, great guy. Boxing and Kids, I think it's called, or Cops and Kids.
Kids in Boxing, yeah.
Kids in Boxing, yeah. I mean, it's a great, great charity. So two good charities getting together for a worthy cause. Obviously, day before the anniversary of 9/11. And so if you could get out there, maybe me and you should go, Bill. Maybe we'll give it a shot.
Yeah, maybe we should fight each other. Two old men going in the ring to fight each other. We'll need an ambulance after the first minute.
You just had your hip done. I don't want to get involved in that.
Irish Hewlett, the garden shears, the way it was carried out from home is very disturbing. Irish, we don't know why they were taken. So, like, to sort of speculate, we don't know if it was evidence, what they were used for, but we're just reporting that they did, in fact, take them. Kathleen Irish, it seems crazy to me that the police have not released more pictures and video when time is of the essence. I agree, Kathleen, but the potential is that maybe the video is so poor that they don't want to throw off the community to just release poor video. And
they also could have a good direction that they're going into, and maybe they don't feel the need to release it right away.
But that's a real potentiality. But one of the things that I always say in these cases is to talk to as many people as you can. I mean, if you have to interview hundreds of people, then you do that, because the answer is somewhere. The answer is out there. Why? We talk about the NIATWE, and I know it's the worst acronym ever invented, but it stands for where, who, what, where, how, why, but it's the last letter of the word. It's when, where, who, what, how, and why. All those questions must be answered in an investigation. And why is this happening? That could the answer be in the why? We know the how. She was abducted off the street. But why? Is this about money? Who's involved in this? The Those are the things that we don't know right now. And that's what the police and the FBI and the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation are working on right now to find the answers to.
Listen, I don't think you could have any more of a better law enforcement team than you have state police, you have local police, campus police, FBI, and I even heard that ATF was possibly helping out in this. So again, it's a very, very alarming case. It's very disturbing. This is a young woman that's out on a jog. She's forced into a vehicle, not heard from in over 24 hours now. So all the things that we mentioned are probably things that are being done. And I just hope and pray that there is a successful conclusion to this case and that this young lady is found unharmed. I mean, that's what we all hope for, I'm sure.
You know, officers canvassed the area where she was abducted and combed through her home searching for clues and collecting evidence. Authorities left the home with a laptop, again, garden shears, and a towed-away cream Jeep Wagoneer. Why they specifically took that vehicle, we don't know if that, in fact, is her vehicle, her husband's vehicle. What has that vehicle been in the last few days? So there's so many questions we need. As you can see, this here is people are asking others that live in the vicinity of Central Avenue, which is where this abduction took place. Do you live along this route? Check your video, check your doorbell camera, see if anything came up. This is what we're looking for. You know, it's just like if you guys ever followed the Boston Marathon bombing, that's how they solved that. From video from people's cell phone cameras. And the FBI canvassed social media and said, please, if you have any useful video, if you were at the marathon yesterday, send it to us. And that's sure enough how they identified the Tsarnaev brothers. There's lots of steps to take in this stuff. And, you know, you wear out a pair of shoes they used to call detectives gumshoes. Now you're really wearing out the phone because you're making phone calls and you're going to talk to people. And that's how these things get solved.
Absolutely, Billy. There's a comment in the chat. After all, it says, Sergeant Bill, Detective Phil, any advice on how to handle this force into, I guess meaning force into the vehicle? Should we just keep running? Listen, carrying a little can of mace is not a bad idea. Having the cell phone at the ready. Someone starts to approach you while you're jogging. You pick up the cell phone. If you have to, you dial 911. I don't think a 911 operator is going to be upset if you playing the safe side. You see a suspicious vehicle, they're not going to, that's their job. They're not going to be, at issue with that. Again, just picking it up might make the person take off. Having self-defense techniques is always a good thing as well. Should you keep running? Yeah, you should try and make noise, get away from the person, obviously 100%. And again, if you don't have to jog when it's dark out, that's always a good idea. Jog in an area where there's other people. Secluded areas are not recommended for jogging. A couple of years back, maybe 4 or 5 years ago, we had a young girl in the middle of the day, but she was in a secluded area out in Howard Beach, Queens, that was murdered. Kind of similar to this. I guess she was out on a jog and someone jumped out of the bushes and grabbed her and sexually assaulted her and murdered her. But so again, just use common sense techniques. Those little keychain maces are always a great idea. They have ones that it not only shoots mace, it shoots a mace mixed with a dye, so it identifies the person that was attacking. For law enforcement, again, keys in your hand, you can hit someone with keys, put them into your fist. So there's a lot of different techniques that you can enlist to keep yourself safe. As I said, self-defense course is always very good as well. Well, and don't run alone. Don't run alone. That's another thing. Try to run with somebody if you can.
Well, Les Pony, thank you so much for the 1999 super chat. Why and when does the FBI get involved? The FBI usually gets involved in kidnappings. This is a high-profile kidnapping. They don't have to get involved by their criteria, but because this is a high-profile case, I believe that's probably why the FBI is getting involved. Duty Ron, thank you for the $10 super chat. Great coverage, gents. Karina Vetrano was the girl that Phil was referring to. Yes. Was kidnapped in Howard Beach and sexually assaulted and murdered. Guys, Phil was talking about if someone approaches you and demands you get in the car, if they're pointing a gun at you, run. I used to teach this in security and how to keep yourself safe. That's the only shot you have right there. And if you run, chances are the person's not going to fire a shot because he's going to draw attention to himself. That's the only chance you got. I don't know. Could she have known this guy? Could that have disarmed her? Is there a possibility that the person that abducted her knew Eliza? Is that a possibility? And that would maybe let your guard down, and then he was able to overpower her and throw her in the car because at first maybe she didn't resist. And I don't have any information that this is the case, but I'm doing a for if, as we say, hypothesize and theorize. And Phil says spitballing. Is this a possibility? After all, she ran this same route every day. She was known to run this route. We spoke about her background. She's an heiress and I don't know specifically, does that mean she's due to inherit money at any time? But she's an heiress, and people know that. People know who she is. She's a prominent individual in the community. She also has someone was in a law enforcement role, I believe. I didn't write that down, but someone else. She has someone else in her family in a very prominent role in that community. So she's known. She's loved in that community. She's a kindergarten teacher. She's seen around. Maybe in these instances, you also let your guard down because you feel so safe within your own community. And these instances where you talk about someone forcing you into a car, you do everything possible never to get into that. I don't care if they point a knife or a gun at you, run. That is that is the split second you run. Do not get into that car. I hope I save someone's life someday by someone listening to me. Do not ever. I don't care if they're pointing a bazooka at you. Do not get in that car.
Absolutely, Billy. Couldn't agree with you more. Bill, you brought out a point I want to expand a little bit on. The video is going to show, they said that it's on video, the actual abduction. So what was her posture leading up to it? Did the car pull up and she have conversation, or what appeared to be conversation? That would indicate that maybe she might have known the person. Did she approach the vehicle? You wouldn't walk over to a vehicle if it was a stranger. Did they enlist some type of an instrument, perhaps a stun gun, to incapacitate her so it would facilitate getting her into the vehicle? Was there more than one individual in that car? The video may show that. Those are all the things that are going to be very closely looked at. Again, she looks athletic to me. She looks like she's in shape. She's an avid runner. She probably could put up a hell of a fight. So those are the things that I'd be looking for in that video. You can probably tell if there's enough video whether or not this was a stranger abduction or whether she knew the person. I think that they might be able to get a good idea from watching that video if, in fact, there is enough of footage to show a little before to the time that the actual abduction takes place.
LUG, I don't know if that's Lug or just LUG. She's closely related to a federal judge. So there's something. There may also be a reason why the FBI immediately got involved.
That could be motive.
Yeah, it absolutely could be motive. So all of these things are reasons. After all, a black SUV seems like a safe, maybe FBI vehicle. Well, that they use those black SUVs, but so does other units in law enforcement. Anne-Marie Dita, I'm a large spike on my keychain. It's going right into the person's eye if they try to grab me. Get as much distance, run, and scream fire. Yeah, no, draw attention to yourself,
Good advice right there, Anne-Marie.
Misty Kate, Bill, I would love to take a self-defense class from you. Well, thank you, Misty Kate. I used to walk around on the street a lot in the city, even when I lived in the city when I was on a job. And a couple times, some very foolish people wanted to rob me, and I spotted the robbery before they got a chance to rob me. One time I was walking my girlfriend home at 1 o'clock in the morning from the restaurant she worked as a waitress at. And we walked in, it was Grove Street in Greenwich Village, and it was so dark. And 5 future congressmen, as we used to refer them as, they looked at me and I could see the saliva pouring down their mouth. I was there with my girl walking her home, and they decided to rob me. and they signaled to each other, and they split up, and they all started coming toward me. And I looked at my girlfriend, and this was 35 years ago. She turned white. And I very calmly, I pulled the gun off my ankle. I said, guys, are you going to rob me? And they went, whoa, they were like gazelles. As soon as they saw that gun, they took off like, oh no, I think we decided not to do it. Boom, boom, boom. Seeing five guys just take off. And look, there's an argument for gun control there too. I didn't have him shoot anybody. Just showed it to him. Go ahead. You want to rob me? Try.
Listen, there's a great lesson there. Be prepared. And the lesson, I'm not talking about having a gun. You saw it before it happened. I tell people all the time, most robbers or predators, they use the element of surprise. So if you're aware of your surroundings, you're looking at them before they're looking at you, they're probably going to try and rob or abduct or harm someone else. That's the thing. Know what's behind you. Know what's in front of you. Know what's on the side of you. Don't bury your head in your cell phone or be distracted by earbuds or whatever it is, music. You're walking on the street, even in the middle of the day, whether it be late at night, middle of the day. What Bill was just talking about there, not the fact that he had the gun on him. He saw it before it was going to even happen. That's the key to crime prevention right there, Bill. That was a great point.
Well, you know what it is? It's called situational awareness.
Yes.
And many people get intimidated by the fact of like, oh, I didn't want him to think I was prejudiced if he was black or if he was Hispanic or if it was ever. But you know something? I tell everyone, if your instincts tell you something's wrong, then
Listen
it
to
is.
them.
Then it is wrong. You know what I mean? If you go into your building, the door shuts and someone's waiting at the door and they open the door, don't open the door for them. I don't care if they beg you. If you don't recognize them as living in your building, do not open the door for them. I can't tell you how many times when I was a RIP sergeant that someone says, oh, he was knocking at the door was locked. And what'd you do? I let him in. And what did he do? He pulled a knife and put it to my neck and robbed me.
Yep.
Well, hello, this is New York City. You shouldn't have, I didn't want him to think. I don't care what you care about what this person thinks of you. You don't know this person. You know what I mean? Be safe. Do not open the damn door. That's why there's locks on doors to protect you.
The old phrase, better safe than sorry. I mean, maybe you're not going to get a Christmas card from that person if you know them, but at the end of the day, you're safe. The door between you and them locked, that's the best thing in the world. Hightail it out of there and go call the police. Let the police come and question this person, see if they even belong there. So that's a very, very good point of advice, Bill.
Phil, I can't tell you how many times when I was a RIP sergeant that exact same scenario occurred. That someone said, I opened the door because I didn't want him to think I was this or think I was that. Like, what do you care? You live there. That's your home. Do not let people into your building that you don't know,
Absolutely. And, you're not racist if you want to be safe. And somebody may call you that, but the hell with them, And, this thing about crossing the street, if you see someone that looks suspicious, listen to your instincts. There's people could talk about what you did, your actions later on down the line. But if your instincts, like Billy said, if the hair goes up on the back of your neck, it's happening for a reason. Trust your instincts. That's what I always say. And if you have to cross the street to save your ass, do it.
Well, as Pony, RIP Sergeant, it used to stand for Robbery Investigation Program. Since it was named that, it's changed. Like then they called it RAM, Robbery Apprehension Module. And then when robberies went down, they threw burglaries to them too. So they called it BRAM, Burglary and Robbery Apprehension Module. Yeah. But I think they're going back to being a RIP again because there's so many robberies now in New York City. I think I had, when I was a RIP sergeant, I had 12 detectives under me. It was rocking. And that was El Barrio, Spanish Harlem. There is a rose in Spanish Harlem. That's where I worked, And I tell you, the RIP, and I hope they're listening, the RIP and the 2-3, it was one of the best in the city, if not the best in the city. These guys were headhunters. They were what we'd call meat eaters. They came to work wearing green army fatigues. They didn't wear no suit and tie like they did on the West Side. They were there to work and to go out and hunt the streets, Yeah. Well, as Pony, thank you so much for the 1999 Super Chat. Thank you so much, Supreme Commander. Thank you.
Commander.
Not that many people know that name, Willez, but Thank you so much. I really
Thank you,
appreciate
Liza.
that. You know, guys, this is a case I think that's probably on the front burner for a while. I think it's just at its infancy. Um, you don't see this that often. You don't see an on the street abduction of a 34-year-old woman who's out jogging. I mean, I can't remember the last time you hear about it, but you don't see it where it's caught on video. And right away they're on this, it gets reported at 7 a.m. It actually happened at 04:30. I mean, so that's a lag there too. But I think when the school looked at the video and they saw what had occurred, they were the first ones to call 911, not the husband. The husband called at 07:45 hours.
Yeah, and there was a bit of a delay from him. I believe it was spotted first by the campus police, and they must have looked at the video several times and realized it was an abduction. Anyway, I just hope that this young lady is found safe and sound. I hope that the husband or family members are not involved in this. It could all just be a misunderstanding. It doesn't look good at this point, but again, the investigation goes where it takes all the evidence, takes it, the scientific, the good work of law enforcement. So wherever it goes, it goes. But let's hope and pray for the safe return of this young lady. And I'm sure that these law enforcement officers, whether it be the FBI, the TBI, the local police, ATF, that they're all doing a good job. It looks like there's a full court press on this case. And I think you're right, Bill. I think this is going to be on the front burner for a little bit.
Celebrity attorney Joe Murray's in the chat. Look at that. He's been so busy. He tells me he was charging the jury the other day when I called him. I was like, oh my God, sorry, counselor. I didn't mean to interrupt you. You're charging the. I always feel like Crazy Eddie when I have my hands up like this. Joe
His
Murray
prices are
is insane. Joe Murray, the attorney, is insane.
Joe would be happy to know that earlier I said, yes, somebody put in the chat, you should always have a lawyer. And I agree. If police come knocking on your door, you should always have the opportunity, because you have that right to have your attorney present anytime you're going to talk to police, law enforcement, whatever. In this situation, like I said, I would want to cooperate with the police fully, because I wouldn't want them wasting time thinking that I'm a suspect had I not been involved in the disappearance of a family member. But Joe, as you know, we're with you 100% on that. If you have a knock on the door, not a bad idea to call up Joe.
That's for sure. Guys, I just want to let you know, folks, if you're not subscribed to Police Off the Cuff, please go on our YouTube, hit that subscribe button. It's free. Subscribe to us. Hit the thumbs up, ring that bell. If you want to support us financially, we have a Patreon with 3 different levels, and we also have a YouTube family channel membership with 5 different levels. So you can join the Police Off the Cuff YouTube family. You could subscribe to us. Folks, on Tuesday night, I was able to get this unbelievable guest. His name is Mike Carew, and he's a retired NYPD scuba diver. So for the Kylie Rodney case, he's just the expert we need. And he owns a dive shop in the Bronx in City Island, and he teaches scuba diving to people and takes people all over the world. And he teaches people how to rescue all kinds. He's an amazing guy. He's going to comment on the Kylie Rodney case. I can't believe I didn't call him earlier, but he's going to come on. And of course, Wednesday night, we have the 3 chiefs. It's going to be an unbelievable show. Chief Louis Anamone, former chief of department, Chief Joe Fox, former chief of the Transit Police, and Chief and Yonkers Police Commissioner Edmund Hartnett. They're going to come on and they're going to tell their best stories from the NYPD. I think it's just going to be an amazing show. And it'd be a fun show. So
I worked with Joe Fox. We were cops together in the 70 precinct. I worked under Chief Anamone on a police officer's homicide, the Ralph Doles case, and I worked for Edmund Harnett in the intelligence division. So I worked for all 3 of those chiefs, and that's going to be a super show, because we're going to get stories right from the top, the biggest police department in the country, in the world, and we're going to get the stories right from the top. That's going to be a great show, Bill.
And look, Ruth Ann Griffin knows Mike Carew. Mike Carew, the best. Yeah, he's been on the show once before, a while ago, though. And not only is he a great scuba diver and teacher, but he's a hell of a nice guy and a good personality, great sense of humor. The other thing is, folks, I just want to mention it. Sunday is the 21st anniversary of 9/11. And we always get somewhat somber when that date comes up because Phil and I were both responders, and for all the emergency first responders that died that day, it's a very emotional day. So it falls on Sunday this year. So
Billy, Tommy Dades I spoke to about a week ago, and he also has illnesses as you and I do from 9/11, from being down there. And he started telling me about a week ago, I could smell it in the air. And it's so true this time of the year. Just as you brought it up, as you started to say it, I got like a twinge in the pit of my stomach. Just a horrible, horrible anniversary. But again, we need to honor those that were lost. The people who have died since from the exposure, and the people that have the illnesses. And God bless all of our first responders from that day and all the days going forward.
100%. JC, let's hope this young school teacher is found alive. I was watching the reports earlier that her car garden shears had been removed for examination. What's the feel on that? JC, we commented on it. We don't really know why they took them. It's anybody's guess right now. Is there some DV in their family? Are they having domestic violence issues? We don't know. The police will know because they'll know how many times they responded to their house, but we don't know. Again, that's all part of the case folder of the investigation, and they would know that. Fremont Pathfinder, thank you so much for the $5 super sticker. Thank all you guys for your support. If you guys haven't noticed, Police Off the Cuff, Real Crime Stories, we're starting to grow. We're actually starting to take off. And we have you guys to thank for that.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much. You brought us and you brought us your friends, and we appreciate you. We try to make this show as entertaining as possible within the parameters of presenting these cases in a police fashion.
Absolutely, Billy. And, it's a sad case. These type of cases, they really tug at our heartstrings. We're human, just like everybody in the chat, all our subscribers, all our fans. So again, just have a nice thought, have a good thought, say a prayer. Let's hope for the safe return. I mean, when you look at the picture of this young lady with her 2 children, it's really, really heart-wrenching to see that, she's missing now, probably a day and a half, I guess it is. So, but, we try to deliver our professional opinions and facts, and we try to comment on it the best we can. That's what we deliver on this show. And again, Bill talked about that we started growing with the numbers recently. That's due to you guys, the subscribers, the fans. Without you guys, there would be no Police Off the Cuff, Real Crime Stories. So thank you so much, guys. It's really, really a pleasure to do this show, to interact. It keeps me connected. I know Bill, same thing. We feel like we're still in the game, so to speak, with law enforcement. And we hope to just keep doing it and keep growing, and we'll see where it takes us.
Absolutely. And I want to thank Duty Ron for sending your, I know you did a show today, and you forwarded your fans, your subscribers to watch our show. I always thankful to you for doing that. Guys, this is the last weekend of the summer. No more shows by the pool. My pool's closing. That's all right. But guys, thank you so much for coming. And we're going to stay on top of this case and give you the best information we possibly have. Have a great day, and God bless.
Feel better, Duty Ron. God bless everybody, and stay safe.
One episode just ain't enough.